guys, don't they realize we have a baby here? And so I went over one day to tell them, hey, I got a little baby here. Can you kind of, tone it down at, at 1 o'clock in the morning or whatever.
Yeah.
And they were the greatest guys. His name was Bob McCaskill. We still keep in touch. Great guys. And so they had, one day I just sat in and sang a couple songs with them.
Some Led Zeppelin, right?
Yeah. And so, Bob, the bass player, was like, man, that's cool, black guy doing Led Zeppelin. So I remembered that guitar player, and I got a hold of him. I says, hey, man, I got this neighbor. He plays bass, and you were saying you have this drummer that you've been hanging around with or whatever.
And then me at 1 year old jumps on the drums. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
but the drums, and he plays the exact feel from
yeah.
It was a Dahoud ska. He just
yeah. So anyway, long story short, we formed this band called Black Stone Edge.
Nice.
And it was 2 black guys and 2 white guys, and it was a really fun project. It's just that the drummer, for me, he had mixed match drums. He wasn't cool looking like the drummers were back then. This is the late 70s. And so I told Lloyd, I says, we got to get rid of this guy. Now, I didn't say it like that. I just said he's not cutting it for what we're trying to do. And so he goes, yeah, but this is my best friend and this. And I'm like, I know, man, but we're getting ready to do this gig at Orange Coast College. And, we got to be on, we got to have the look and this and that. And so he says, okay. And so he tells the guy, and the guy, the kid was really, he was such a great guy. And I had a lot of respect for him and his band and everything. And, but hey, our band was really starting to get the calls and starting to do the gigs. And so anyway, the kid that I had to tell that he wasn't fit for our band at the time, went on, and his band formed just an incredible heavy metal band and went down in history as such.
Nice.
Nicest people I've ever met. And he understood, and we were going for this look and this sound, and he just didn't have the timing. His timing was a little off back then. And so.
Yeah. And he's famous for shutting down Napster. So yeah, that's good. Good.
Yeah, that was definitely an important thing to do. But I was going to ask you guys. I heard from the grapevine you guys used to live in the Lake Elsinore area.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I grew up out there.
Me too.
Really?
Yeah, I grew up out there as well. Yeah.
No way.
That's why when I heard that, I was like, oh man, we could definitely connect on that area.
Dude.
Yeah, Wildemar.
Yeah, we were in Wildemar forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was I lived there for about 8 years in Elsinore, kind of by, what was the street? I don't know if you guys know where the Stater Brothers is off Lake.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Around there.
That was the only store out there.
That was the only store.
Yeah.
And that Del Taco, whatever, used to be called Noggles.
Yeah,
that was
I
the
remember
only
that.
thing out there, man, before McDonald's.
Yeah.
When I was a little kid, that was Stater Brothers was right there, and then Noggles was right there, and there was a Bank of America or Wells Fargo.
No, it was a bank there, and my wife used to work at the bank there.
And that was the only 3. It was like the lake and that, and the casino. And
nothing else. Yeah.
So from there, you guys are out in Oceanside now, right? Or
I'm out in Oceanside, and then my dad is still in the 909 or 951 now.
Oh, nice.
Out in that area, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I wanted to ask, man, because I see that you've also done a lot of touring work with a lot of other, ska bands and reggae artists. Could you maybe speak on how you got introduced to that and how the word of mouth thing is important in this scene, particularly to getting your name spread around as a musician?
Yeah, of course. I just, I've loved this kind of music for a long time and have been in the LA ska scene for a really long time, since I was 12 years old. And so, it just started by just wanting to play this music. I just wanted to play traditional ska, LA ska, and skinhead reggae and all that stuff. And so I was just a big fan of it. I started a band in high school with my buddies, that was called the Scommodores. And, we never really played any ska. It was like a third wave ska band.
Gotcha.
And we never really did much. We didn't do any real shows. We just did like kind of our local area pool halls and stuff like that. And then anyways, that led to some of the members of that band, like half of that band went on to play in an LA based ska band called Kingston 10.
Nice.
And that's actually how everybody started calling me Korey Kingston, was from that band. And so that band that's when we really started playing in the LA scene a lot, like really often. And then that's where the word of mouth started. I just kind of started making friends with other bands and, you know, just going to shows, hanging out. And at one of our shows, I got done playing and saw Mark Kwan from Rhythm Doctors. And I heard through the grapevine they were looking for a drummer. And so I think they had Greg Narvis from Hepcat in that band. So he was quitting for some reason. I don't know why. So I was like, I can't skip this opportunity, because at that time Rhythm Doctors was like the buzz band of our scene.
Nice.
And so I walked right up to him, was like, hey man, how you doing? I'm Korey, I play drums, heard you're looking for a drummer, you know, I want to try out. And he was just like, that's not like me to do that, but he's just like, all right man, yeah, okay, cool, like give me your number and I'll hit you up, you know. I'm like, all right, cool. And so, yeah, I went on to playing with Rhythm Doctors. We did an album, did a record, and it was awesome to be in like the headlining band of that time, the buzz band of you know, that time, late 90s, early 2000s. That band like kind of fizzled out, and then three of the members of that band, me, Jesse, and Brian, went on to form the Agrolites with two guys from the Vessels, so Jay and Roger.
Nice.
And then Agrolites was really like when things started moving and shaking for me as far as my career, like just, you know, and really spent years and years touring with them, like barely home, just touring all the time, and played on multiple records with them. And by that time though, it wasn't like a learning process. It was like, we were used to being in the studio. We were used to touring. We were used to playing shows. We were used to headlining shows, opening for big bands, whatever, you know? Mm-hmm. And then after that, it's just, you know, I spent so long touring with them that that just kind of changed my mentality of like, you know, when I come home from tour, I have to work. So then I'm teaching, or I'm recording for other people, or I'm taking pickup gigs, or I'm working for agencies that are, you know, putting me on corporate gigs or fly out dates for something, or, you know, wedding gigs, or you name it. And then of course it's the same process over and over again. From that, you know, that being on Warped Tour with Agrolites, I met Davey from a band called Beat Union. And then me and him started Suede Head, you know, from Suede Head, me and Davey went on to play in Sharp Shock. After I quit Agrolites, Hepcat hit me up to start touring with them, and you know, Western Standard Time. It's just like the list goes on and on. Just the same thing where it's like, these are all guys who I know, or we've crossed paths. We know each other. We've played on something some time or another, some session for someone. You know, that's how Agrolites started. We did a session for Derek Morgan, and I don't think it ever got picked up, but we loved the way we played together. And so we're like, let's start a band, you know, and then now there's Agrolites. So it's like, it's that kind of thing over and over again.
Yeah. In terms of the LA ska scene, you were kind of like going to shows like around those times. Have you kept in touch with the LA ska scene today? And do you ever go to the shows nowadays over there?
Yeah, I'd like to say yes, but like, I mean, right now everything is different, but even over the past, like I maybe 10 years, you know, I don't go all the way up to LA just to see, you know, a band, especially a band that I play in. It's kind of, I know it sounds bad, but in San Diego though, that's different. Like I've gone to like the Casbah to see the Toasters and like just hang out, and just, it's nice these days to hear ska in a club. You know, it's still the music I love, and it's still the music I play. And so I'll take it, you know, as any way I can get it, you know? So as far as the LA scene, it's pretty rare for me to go up there and it has to be something. I think the last band I went to see up there was the Specials, and it was it was like, man, I kind of gotta go see this, you know.
Yeah.
And if I do, I still keep in touch with quite a few people from the LA scene, especially musicians. And so if I see them like at another, like maybe at a scooter rally, or you know, or maybe they come to town here in San Diego or something like that, then it's like we'll catch up or hang out or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever were you ever like tapped in with like the more of the Spanish speaking like ska core scene in LA that's going on?
So that was kind of, believe it or not, man, that was kind of after my time. There was a couple bands from like Texas. I know there was like Los Carnales, I think they were called, and like Los Fabulosos Cadillacs. They were like, you know, that not an LA ska scene. And then of course like Voodoo Glow Skulls, I knew not really well, but they're from Riverside.
Yeah.
And so I always liked that stuff, but I always felt like by the time that stuff was really taking over and really picking up and becoming huge, I was kind of on my way out of Agrolites and kind of moving on to other stuff.
Gotcha.
Or I was just working. And, so, but recent, like maybe a year and a half ago, we saw Inspector. They actually, Shuffle and Bang played in San Diego in La Jolla, and those dudes came.
Yeah.
And we were like, yo, what's up? And then they invited us to their show, and they were playing a sold out show in San Diego,
incredible.
like packed.
Yeah.
And they invited us backstage and hung. It was like incredible, man. Super cool guys. And,
really.
And so, yeah, those, you know, we've kind of, man, I wish we could do more with it. You know, I don't know how they receive our band. I don't know, you know, I don't even know if it's, I know there's a lot of cool stuff happening in that scene though, in LA and in TJ and Mexico City and all those places, man. The music is killing. I cannot say enough about playing in Mexico City and Monterey and, you know, all those places. Shuffle and Bang has played in TJ and it was received pretty well. Yeah. I always just think, you know, are we too jazzy? But then they like jazz, you know, like that scene. And then I'm like, are we not hardcore enough? You know? And then like, does Pops need to start brushing up on his Spanish? Like, I don't know, you know, like, so, but you know, like C-Spot, for example, you know, they have a really big Boogaloo influence. And like when we went to Spain with that, oh my gosh, those people, like that was probably, besides LA, Spain, I can't remember what part, but they ate it up. They loved Chuck. They thought it was the best thing ever, like for us to be playing like Boogaloo ska, you know. It's like, so, you know, maybe it'll go over well for us. You never know.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say, so you know, kind of if we could, I just want to maybe jump into the record.
Cool.
You know, not to blow any smoke, but for me, the album is pretty like innovative and appropriate for 2020. Just
Nice.
because, you know, like nowadays we see a lot of bands like in like all like the subgenres of ska, like kind of like, you know, like reinventing the wheel, you could say. You know, like there's ska punk bands doing like their own version of ska punk nowadays. There's reggae bands doing their own version of reggae. Kind of like what your point was, you know, are we too jazzy for those crowds? I personally don't think so, because I think the album Island Bop, I wouldn't even call it like a throwback style of ska. I would say that Shuffle and Bang sounds like Shuffle and Bang. Like I wouldn't say Shuffle and Bang sounds like a different, you know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't sound like, I'm not.
I love that.
Oh, that's cool.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not saying like Shuffle and Bang sounds like, oh, that band from this time, you know? Like for me, it's like, because me personally, I'm a geek for bands that have chops. You know what I'm saying? Like how you were saying, Western Standard Time. There's a group out of Baltimore called the Players Band that has a lot of chops as well. And you know, when I listen to it, it's just like everyone's playing their ass off. You know, and and also that I'm noticing is there's not like an overstep of technicality. You guys are still keeping every song super danceable. You
know, for me, and I can't speak for you, Dad, but for me, the goal with this album was to keep it authentic. So, you know, our influences, you know, my influence of ska and reggae, Jamaican style music, and then my mom is Puerto Rican. So, you know, I definitely wanted that influence to be in there. But, you know, then my dad's jazz background and a lot of the members of the band, their jazz background and soul music and, you know, all of that, I wanted it to be apparent, but I wanted it to be done in a way that is, you know, you can't deny the authenticity. You know, I don't want it to sound like we're trying to be something. I wanted it to be influenced by the records that we listened to.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of really, it took me so long to kind of try to put this idea together, because this idea has been